Um, Overall from the game, um, biggest thing that I take away from it, biggest thing that the guys take away from it is this. I had some people ask me after the game. They commented on, man, you've got to be pretty happy with the way that your guys came and played and competed, and it was a tough atmosphere in the weather against a ranked opponent and all of that kind of stuff. And I said this the other night, and I'll say it again. We didn't go up there to get pats on the back for playing hard. We went up there to win, and that's our that was our job. That was our task at hand, was to go up there and win. And we didn't do that. So there are some things that we'll talk about today in our meetings, some things that I was proud of, and some plays that I was proud of, and some tremendous effort. But there's also a lot of execution things, lack of execution, and some other things that kept us out of being able to win that ball game. And those things we've got to get corrected. So, and our guys understand that. We're going to keep being tough on our guys because our guys respond the best when we do that. And this week will be a tough week, or today will be a tough team meeting. Because that's what we need to improve from last week, from Saturday, and obviously that's what we need to get ready for this week and the task at hand that we have this week in the University of Kentucky. So, are there some bright spots in that game? Absolutely. I thought our effort was was good. I thought that we did some things well, but overall, there's some execution things that we've got to get better at. Some non-football things that we've got to get better at. And if we can do those things, again, I'll say, like I said the other night, we've got a dang good football team sitting in that locker room, and we've just got to put it all together and play like that, especially this week going into Lexington.
Can you elaborate on what those non-football things are, maybe in some sort of detail?
Not really. There's just there's some things that we've got to get that we've got to get taken care of, whether it be on the football field after the whistle, and some things that we've got to do a better job of throwing our hands up in some situations and understanding that we can't do things that's going to hurt the football team. We can't make it a personal vendetta between us and another player that's going to hurt the football team and get us some penalties. And we've had that 2 weeks in a row, where some unsportsmanlike penalties and things like that. And that's selfish football. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. That's selfish football. I don't care if the dude eye-googes you on the bottom of the pile. You've got to get up and throw your hands back and understand that there are some things bigger than your personal pride, and we've got to get past that. And then there's just some other things. Maybe some guys who aren't getting some playing time that think that they need to get some playing time, or some things like that. Those things are earned. Those things are not given. Those are earned, and you've got to earn those through the week if you want to see that playing time on Saturdays. And so we've got some of those things. It's just like any other football team in the country. We've got some of those things that we got to get cleaned up, and some selfishness out of the way for us to be as good as we can be.
This Kentucky team, I know as a program over the last 3 or 4 decades, they've had their share of issues, but they seem to have really turned the corner over the last few years. Potentially, this seems to be maybe one of the best teams they've had.
They're better. Whether they just beat Florida for the first time in, what was it, 32 tries, 31 tries, 31 tries. They're not the same Kentucky. They're not, from a personnel standpoint. They're not the same Kentucky. In years past, I mean, I grew up an SEC fan. I've always lived in the Southeast. I've watched Kentucky football. I've watched them play Florida for a lot of years, and usually there's a noticeable difference. Usually when they go play Florida, there's a noticeable, the scales are tilted for Florida in years past. It was not that way. That film that I just watched last night going into today, it is not that way anymore. If anything, it was tilted the other way. They're tremendously athletic. They play very hard. Coach Stoops has got them playing very hard. They play with a little bit of confidence and a little bit of swagger about them, which for anybody, I mean, obviously, we all live in Kentucky. We know they haven't always had that in the past, and they are tremendously better. This is not the same old University of Kentucky football team.
How exciting is it, though, knowing that going into Saturday, might feel like a big homecoming for them just because they are coming back from Florida from such a big win. Kroger Field feels like it might be rocking on Saturday.
Yeah, sure. I think that it's going to be, again, like I said, I think that, you know, there's a change in the air over there. I think everything's going to be dramatically different. And you come off a win like that in the swamp, you come back home. You know, like I said, I don't think this is going to be the Kentucky that I should say that everybody's used to, but that it's been in the past. It's not going to be that way. You know, they've the venue over there, the stadium's incredible. The things that they've done is incredible. They've moved some things around with the student section and how they have everything kind of strategically placed. So that kind of adds to it. I don't know if y'all have been up there in a while. I went this summer, and it's got video boards and all. I mean, it's just a cool place to play. And then I think that, you know, in Kentucky's always had a great fan base. They've always had fans there yearning for that year, right? Yearning for that. And now all of a sudden I think that they can kind of sense some blood in the water coming off of last week. So it will be a hornet's nest when we get up there. I mean, I know that this is an FCS opponent for them and all of that kind of stuff, but it will be a hornet's nest coming off of that win last week. And those guys getting to come back and play at Kroger Field, I expect nothing but the worst environment imaginable.
With that being said, how do you play that out to your team, saying that they have to go into that environment?
We have nothing to lose. We've got nothing to lose. Our team has nothing to lose. You know, and I think that's the biggest thing is it's still going to boil down to one thing, and that one thing is effort, and that will never change. That is non-negotiable. Will never change. We're not going to change it. We focused on that last week. We watched tape on that last week. We constantly showed examples of that. Everything from look squads getting us better at our practices to our guys, you know, watching the previous game and making sure that they see this is what happens when you have effort. This is what happens when you don't. So that's a non-negotiable. We're going to go up there and we're going to play with the same effort, if not better, than last week. That is the charge. That's what we've got to do each and every week is we've got to play with tremendous effort and tremendous enthusiasm. But this week is easy for us to do that because what do you got to lose? You know, if you go out there and you play a million miles an hour and you go try to hit somebody and you try to strike somebody on contact a million miles an hour and you whiff, what do you got to lose? It's an SEC opponent. It's a big opponent. This is the most fun that those guys will have. I mean, we're going to treat it as such. We have nothing to lose. And again, I'll go back to this. We're not going to coach caution this whole week. We're not going to put that caution in those kids' heads. I want them going and playing on the verge of reckless. On the verge of reckless, okay? To the echo of the whistle, not just the first blow of the whistle, but to the echo of the whistle, and go play reckless and don't worry about a thing. Don't worry about, man, my leverage is supposed to be here, and all of those things, man. Go play hard, and the rest of that stuff will figure itself out. And if we can do that, and we'll do it for 4 quarters, and we'll have a lot of fun, and we can be very successful Saturday.
Is that the way that you want them to play in games going forward?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what I want to be. That's what we're going to make this team known for, is the effort at which we play, the way that we cover kickoffs, the way that we cover punts, the way that we play on special teams, the way that we run around and we strike people on defense, the way that we play up front in the trenches, offensively and defensively, the way that we practice. We've changed our whole mentality of that, you know, it's okay to screw up. It's okay to mess up every once in a while. Now, you can't do it over and over and over again. That's not what I'm saying. We're not going to be out there and just be chaotic and running around like a chicken with our head cut off. But there's something to be said for having that edge about you. There's something to be said when you turn that tape on. I'm going to tell you, on my standpoint, when I turn that tape on and I see a bunch of dudes that are just running, they're running and they're hitting, even though sometimes I'm like, man, this is perfect example. The linebackers last week at Central Arkansas. We said all week, I told you guys when we scouted those guys, sometimes they put themselves in some bad situations because as soon as they see daylight, they are feeling it. I mean, they are downhill and they're trying to hit you up underneath the chin. But that is the first thing that you notice when you turn that tape on is you kind of go, whoa. I want there to be a wow factor with this football team. We're going to make there be a wow factor with this football team. When you turn that tape on, you go, whoa, that dude's running. Wow, that dude, he does not look like he's got a care in the world about his job description. And we're going to make those job descriptions so easy that they can't mess them up, so that they can just go. And I would rather tell them whoa than go any day of the week.
Where did you see the biggest improvement week 1 to week 2 from your team?
Effort, no question about it. And that's the reason why I'm harping on it right now, is because the first week there was too many clips that we came back in after that game and showed our team, look at our effort. Look at our effort compared to the opponent's effort, okay? And that has nothing to do with their players, our players, scheme, anything like that, man. Effort is anybody can give 100%. Okay, anybody can do that. It doesn't matter how good a football player you are or how bad a football player you are. Everybody can hustle and everybody can do their job at the best of their ability. Okay, that's what we're trying to get out of them. We got closer to that. We're not perfect. We got closer to that. So we're going to harp on the times that we got closer to it while still harping on the times that we're way away from it. And if we can start to tilt those scales during the game where we're playing 85, 90% of the game with max effort, then you start to see the results of those games in your favor as well.
How are you guys planning on stopping Kentucky's running game? Because that's something that they're relied on now. They have a quarterback that's a lot mobile.
Very carefully. They're. That's a good question, because I don't know. I'll be perfectly honest with you, with that quarterback and their ability to play with 11 guys on the field, because that guy, he's going to run it, and he's very good at what they do and all of the reads and stuff like that they give him. I don't know if you're going to stop it. I don't know if you're going to stop it. We're going to try like crazy to stop it. We have to maintain it. We've got to maintain, anytime on defense, your biggest thing is you want to kill the run. You want to maintain the run and make them have to throw it over your head, make them throw the ball. And that's what we're going to try to do. It's no different, with anybody that we play. It's just a little bit more difficult this week because that guy can run it too. Anytime that you can, again, play with 11 guys on offense, you have the upper hand a little bit, especially if that guy's built like that kid is and can do the things that he can with his feet. Makes it a little bit tougher to stop. But that's what we've got to do. We've got to make them one-dimensional. If we can get to where we can get them in some passing situations to where they've got to put the ball in the air, then we've got some good things going for us defensively.
As a coaching staff, how do you guys find the threshold between staying competitive and locking in with Kentucky and staying healthy and preparing for the rest of your slate on a Saturday? Where does that balance find?
Well, I think it's first and foremost you go out there to compete, and then you figure it out as the game goes. I don't know if it's from a coaching staff standpoint or just from my standpoint. It's almost like offensively, I always have this little card that I keep in my back pocket of adjustments, right? It's a laminated card, and it's something through the week that it's not something that I tell the kids. It's not even something that I tell the offensive coaches until we get to the end of the week on Thursday and we have our game meeting where we say, hey, listen, here's a couple of adjustments that I have in my back pocket that I hope we don't have to get to, but just in case. As a head coach, you go into this game and you kind of treat it the same way. We're going up there to be competitive. We're going up there to win that football game. When we get off the bus, I want every one of those kids, 70 to 73, 75 kids that we dress out going into that stadium, I want them with one focus and one focus only, and that is competing with 100% effort and winning that football game. If you get to a certain part of the game where that's not going to happen, okay, and you get to that part, then as a head coach, you just make sure that you've got those adjustments now from a team standpoint to where you say, hey, let's play this guy, let's play this guy, let's play this guy. May travel some more guys, especially now with the red shirt rule. You can travel some more guys, throw those guys out there, kind of give them a bone because they've been working their fannies off and don't get that playing time. Well, now you get it in the biggest environment possible against the best competition. So it kind of makes for a fun. I've said all along I like the new red shirt rule, and it's especially for these cases right here. Now you can give those guys a chance to go out there and compete if you get to that part of the game. But obviously, I don't want that being anybody's focus on this first floor in this facility. Nobody's focus needs to be on that except for mine, and my focus sitting on it as well. That's purely an adjustment if we get to that part of the football game. But we're going up there with one expectation, and that is to make it a bad day in Lexington.
What do you guys do as a program with a paycheck like this? How does it go back into investing into the program or things like that?
I have no idea. It's above my pay grade. I don't know. I shake hands and I do the best I can on the field, and then I have no idea. So hopefully maybe we'll get like a new polo shirt or something out of it. I have no idea.
Injury-wise, how did you come out this week?
Good. Rashad Johnson, we've got to check on him. He played it off pretty well yesterday and after the game, but he's got a concussion, so he's got till tomorrow to get out of that protocol. So we'll kind of see that. That obviously hurts us a little bit on the defensive front. Still trying to, the reason why that's a little bit troublesome for us right now is we haven't had Motts Peters in the lineup yet. He's still working on some things from the NCAA standpoint that we didn't know about until the Monday of week 1. So we're not real happy with that situation about how that's going to. So I'm hoping that we get him back this week because we're just taking opportunities away from that kid, and he only gets so many, and so hopefully we can get him back. But other than that, from an injury standpoint, we're knock on wood about as good as you can be going into the 3rd week of the season.
If I had said 2 weeks into the season that Sylvan Turner and James Sappington were your leading receivers right now from catches and yardage, would you be surprised as a head coach?
I mean, we've kind of said all along is somebody's got to step up. Who that's going to be, I don't know who it's going to be, but I knew somebody would. And obviously Sylvan was a guy, just because he was kind of cut from the same cloth as Jordan Gandy, he was kind of a guy that I had my eye on, that I was hoping could have the same type of jump and the same type of career blueprint as Gandy. Does he still have a lot to work on? Absolutely, but he did have a big game the other night, had a couple, 2 catches, the big go route, and then the one on 4th down that was a tremendous catch. He's got that type of athletic ability, so that doesn't really surprise me. And then Sappington, I've said all along, Sappington's probably one of our best athletes on the team. He's as big as he is and can run like he can, and he's got the best hands on the team. And oh, by the way, he kicks too. So it doesn't really surprise me. I just, I knew somebody would have to step up in that role. I'm interested to see who else will, because that's the biggest thing is we need some other guys to step up in that role as well. And we've got some guys that will do that too.